Griggs, Elder Blacklight, your motivator with the kind of knowledge you won't get in college and the kind of flavor that will save you. And I'm so glad that I woke up in time. I woke up in my right mind. From the land of Nod to the kingdom of God. Santa, rise and shine. And to take control of your mind, body, and soul. Now, ever since Mr. Farrakhan got kicked off of YouTube, everybody's talking about it. But all the Jews is doing is showing you what they can control. And they're not going to let you come on their platform or their format and tell the truth on them. Now, I'm not a fan of Mr. Farrakhan, but he was on them Jews because mainly ever since when Jesse Jackson was running for president, Jesse Jackson turned on him and got him in trouble with them Jews. Instead of Mr. Farrakhan sticking strictly to the program, he, left it a little bit. Now he's been ostracized by the Jews, because him and Wallace D. Muhammad, they jacked off the little power base that they had, But they can't, the white people, they could complain. They come across these videos and they don't want you to talk like you talk, so they say, well, we'll have you kicked off. That's why, I play videos with them talking about each other. Because, see, they tell the truth about each other because they're in a class war. Which is similar to the caste system, but it's a class war that they're in, the middle class and all like that, see. But the black man is in a race war and a spiritual war. The righteous against the unrighteous. But look, we're gonna let it speak for itself. We're going to let it speak for itself.
Good point. Let's run down what we're going to be talking about tonight.
In a general sense, here's what we're going to be talking about. The first of the programs that we did on terror, and it should be said that with tonight's broadcast, as with the others, there will be strong areas of bleed over, so to speak, and that's an appropriate term given the deadly instincts of the people we're talking about. There will be a strong amount of bleed over from the various lines of demarcation that we have set out for the programs. Although the first part of our series was on the drug connections, the next three on the terror connections. In fact, the drug and terror connections are inseparable. We're distinguishing between them primarily for conceptual purposes because the working capital from the narcotics traffic engaged in by the members of our intelligence community, whom the Christic Institute have termed the secret team, has provided the working capital for the various machinations and skullduggery, which will occupy a large part of has occupied most of our attention in the three parts we've dealt with on terror. Now, in the second program, Radio Free America number 30, the first of our programs about terror, we talked about the Tropel Wilson team. We've talked about them perhaps ad nauseum for some of our listeners. We've been focusing on them for years, and we've been focusing on them because not only are they one of the prime movers in American national security policy, but specifically the main focus, the main stock and trade of the Tropel Wilson team has been the exportation of terror. Many of the terrorist groups and elements that have been inveighed against so heavily by the Reagan administration have in fact been actively armed and trained and at times protected by this very administration. The scenario that we've introduced very often, and it will come home in a very big way this evening, is that of the Reichstag fire. Basically provocation, setting up an incident in order to discredit one's enemy and to serve, first of all, as a pretext for the restriction of civil liberties here at home and military adventurism abroad. One might take a look at our growing naval presence in the Persian Gulf to attest to how effective a policy that can be when properly executed. Now, the second, we left off with the Tropel Wilson team in Radio Free America number 30. In our last program, Radio Free America number 31, we began focusing on the systematic use of terror as a strategic instrument by the elements of the secret team. We focused on what appears to have been a destabilization of the Carter regime almost from the very beginning. The Carter administration made a number of changes which were not pleasing to various members of the secret team. They withdrew their financial support from the mullahs in Iran. Previously, the CIA had paid $400 million annual subsidy to the religious leaders in Iran to keep them off of the Shah's back. Members of the secret team were heavily involved with the security for the Shah. In addition, one of the people looming large in the background, namely Henry Kissinger, and his scion, in a sense, his financial scion, David Rockefeller, were very much involved with the Shah's economic situation. The Shah banked his enormous oil profits with Chase Manhattan Bank. We took a look at such things as the deep-sixing, the apparent deep-sixing of the hostage. First of all, actually, we took a look, first of all, at what appeared to have been attempts to get the hostage crisis into effect in the first place. The bad advice given Jimmy Carter by David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger to bring the Shah to the country in the first place. It was well known that this would produce the hostage crisis. We then took a look at attempts, apparently successful attempts, to sabotage the attempt to rescue the hostages in April of 1980. We then took a look at a deal cut to avoid what the Reagan team, or an apparent deal, I should say, cut to avoid what the Reagan team viewed as a possible October surprise, namely some sort of stratagem by Jimmy Carter in October of 1980 which would have gotten the hostages freed and thereby assured his re-election. It appears that members of the secret team, which were to move on into the Reagan administration, committed treason and deliberately negotiated with America's enemies in order to sabotage the political fortunes of the Carter administration. We left off the broadcast last time by taking a look at a contingency plan to set up martial law in the United States. This particular plan was known as Rex 84 and would have been put into effect during a number of possible scenarios. The possibility of a racial uprising in the United States, the possibility of widespread resistance to a foreign invasion in the United States, or the occurrence, one should say, or the arrival of large-scale terrorism in the United States.
Now y'all heard that. Y'all heard that. Recently, Trump called a national emergency for that wall that he wanted to build, saying that it's an influx of Mexicans coming over here. Then you got another reason why they call martial laws, because of the gangs and the drugs and the murders. You know, and then you know, different excuses. They got it in progress, but it's not, you know, it's not fully implemented. They're doing it in stages. See? Y'all haven't heard of this before. This has been out for a long time. King Alfred plan out been out for decades. Matter of fact, generations. So, if they could have killed, murdered Nipsey Hussle and start a war, gang war, because it was reported not too long ago that they found over a thousand guns at someone's home. I got to go back and find out the details on that. I heard this over the regular news, you know. Or did I? No, I might have heard it on. But anyway, they're trying to incite, you know, they want Chicago. Trump wanted Chicago. He's getting ready to send in the troops in Chicago. And so when Nipsey Hussle tried to bring them gangs together, see, they make so much money when a black man goes to jail and they're caught up in the legal system, so-called legal system, court system. You know, they got a private prison industry and so forth. If all of a sudden y'all stop taking dope, stop using dope, stop prostitution, stop, in other words, just turn righteous. Not only will the universe be on your side, giving you superhuman strength as a group, this country would just, you know, the economic illusional system of economics that this country got would plummet. So y'all ain't gonna do that though, you know, because y'all can't. The average black man is so far gone off into the Satan mindset that it'll be a couple more generations, I'm betting on, before he begins to wake up. This is black light. Think about it.